Back in 1999, the word mummy promised audiences swashbuckling adventure, the charm of Brendan Fraser, and pure popcorn entertainment. But if you bought a ticket for the 2026 film Lee Cronin's The Mummy, you received a brutally R-rated, traumatizing story of demonic possession. The shift from lighthearted adventure to grueling body horror is a radical departure from the blockbuster formula that once defined the brand. The action-adventure model hit a wall in 2017. Tom Cruise's attempt to launch a massive, interconnected dark universe cratered at the box office, ending that version of the monster movie strategy. That failure left a vacuum. The studio possessed a globally recognized monster that was now too expensive to risk on another massive action tentpole, but too valuable to simply abandon. To get the monster back into theaters, they had to break the property down to its studs and rebuild it into something unrecognizable to the original fans. The 2026 iteration leaves the 1920s behind for a modern setting, opening with an investigative journalist whose young daughter mysteriously vanishes in Cairo. When she finally returns 8 years later, she brings something back with her, an ancient demon known as the Nazmaranian, which uses the child as a vessel to tear her family apart. The film trades sandstorms for skin-peeling rituals and intense exorcisms. It functions almost entirely as a claustrophobic, gruesome nightmare. By stripping away the massive scale and replacing it with raw family trauma, the studio managed to make The Mummy terrifying for a modern audience. This tonal shift came from a deeply personal place. Director Lee Cronin initially turned the project down, expressing no interest in reviving a dusty franchise. He only agreed to take it on after the death of his mother. Cronin used the grotesque, painful elements of the film as a mechanism to process his own grief, pouring his personal devastation directly into the script. From a strictly financial perspective, the gamble paid off. The film pulled in $90 million worldwide against a $22 million budget. But that profit margin came with a cost. The movie earned a C+ cinema score, pointing to an audience that was deeply divided by the relentless gore. Cronin achieved his artistic vision, but the sheer emotional weight of the project alienated the core fans who showed up hoping for an escapist adventure. The studio anticipated this exact fracture. Arriving in October 2027 is a high-budget legacy sequel, currently titled The Mummy 4. This entry explicitly promises to bring back Brendan Fraser as Rick O'Connell, giving longtime fans the heroic anchor they've been missing. He's not coming back alone. Original cast members like Rachel Weisz and John Hannah are set to return, reassembling the core team that made the '99 property a hit. This 2027 release serves as a direct response to the audience feedback, pulling the series back toward its original identity after the horror detour. We are looking at two highly specific, contrasting approaches to the same brand. One caters to the need for brutal, visionary horror, films that help us confront pain and grief on the screen. The other caters to a rooted desire for comfort, leaning entirely on our nostalgia and the joy of a familiar swashbuckling adventure. The survival of the Mummy franchise now rests on this duality. By using one name to sell both a visceral modern nightmare and a high-budget reunion, the studio ensures the property remains relevant to two very different audiences.